It gave me hope that maybe I can beat this.
Most importantly, have hope and believe.
This type of encouragement was what got me through.
He thought I could offer hope.
They tell me that I gave them hope.
They needed to know other people had gone through it, that they had survived it, and that there was hope.
I was diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer. It had spread to my lymph nodes. My mother wanted to try and get me out of that panic mode, so she found something called the Cancer Hope Network. And the Cancer Hope Network matched me up with someone named Edna, who I'll never forget. And Edna called, and I was afraid I was going to die with only 2 positive lymph nodes. And I remember answering the phone and Edna saying, "Hi, Liz, this is Edna. I had 16 positive lymph nodes 17 years ago." That kind of broke me out of the panic and the craziness and the whole cycle that I couldn't stop thinking about dying.
The emergency room doctor told me that she was 90% sure what I had is cancer. My world turned upside down from that minute. When you were a child and you played tag, the worst thing to be was it. And now, somebody has made you it. They've tagged you and said, you have cancer. You don't know where to go, you don't know what to do, and you want to speak to somebody who's been where you're going.
Every year, over 1.6 million people are diagnosed with cancer. That's one of the most devastating things that can happen to someone in their life. Cancer Hope Network is in the business of providing them hope, information, and support, and helping them get through one of the most, if not the most, trying times in their life.
The idea for the organization stemmed from my patients. I was an oncology nurse working in an oncologist's office, and many of my patients would say to me, who else is going through this? Are they on the same medication? How are they doing?
We generally tend to see patients in my practice right after their diagnosis of cancer. So often their first time here on their initial consultation, when they're dealing with this new diagnosis, I find that's the best time to refer to Cancer Hope Network.
The whole thing is, no one knows how the individual feel, what they're going through, unless they've been through it. So if they have someone like myself that's been through it and gone through it, they feel more relieved.
It gives you somebody to talk to, somebody to bounce your feelings off of, somebody that can relate to the pain that you're feeling.
The matching process is probably what makes this so unique. It starts with trying to match the disease as well as the treatment regimen. They find out from the patient what their special needs are. We had a young man come to the organization once, and he had just found out he had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and at the very same time he learned of his diagnosis, he found out his wife was pregnant. We found a support person who had the identical experience.
We now have over 65 types of cancer represented in our volunteers that are available to match with newly diagnosed cancer patients.
The cadre of volunteers that have been trained include people with common cancers such as breast cancer and lung cancer and colorectal cancer, but also some of the more uncommon or hard to treat cancers such as glioblastomas and renal cell cancer and leukemias.
After I finished treatment, I realized that there were so many more people out there that went through the same thing I did. I wanted to be able to offer something that I had been through to somebody who was still in the woods and had no idea what the trail was going to be.
I wanted to be able to talk to people not only about my cancer experience, but about my experience as a caregiver. I cared for my mom, who had brain cancer, for my husband, who was a head and neck cancer survivor, and for a friend of mine who had breast cancer. So I thought that I could offer something to people, a different perspective, having been a patient and a caregiver for people with cancer.
I knew as soon as I was able to become a Cancer Hope Network volunteer that I would do it because Edna saved my life in a lot of ways. And I wanted to do that for somebody else. And I've been able to, I think, do that for other people. Well, I was 32 when I was diagnosed, so we're kind of in the same boat.
And many times they ask me like, if they can call me back. And of course I always say yes, they can call me back. And I know that in their mind, from now on, they are not alone.
The Cancer Hope Network program has evolved over the years in a variety of ways. First and foremost, it's now matching according to some genetic profiles and molecular profiles. It is also matching Hispanic-speaking patients.
When I talk to somebody that is Latino or Spanish speaking, right away I can feel how there is this social warmth, empathy that just surrounded. And for them it's easier to talk to other people about it than maybe talking to a doctor.
Cancer Hope Network is now a national and an international organization. We provide support to patients all over the United States, as well as Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, and Canada.
The services of Cancer Hope Network have been supported by philanthropy by our community for many, many years. We've been so fortunate, and I feel so fortunate, to be involved with a group where we have an amazing administrative staff led by Wanda Dyack.
Our number one priority in terms of being able to expand our services is to get more funding. Cancer Hope Network raises its funding solely through private funding. We do not get any dollars from government. So we do it through our two major fundraising events every year, which is a golf outing typically held in June and a gala that is held in October.
The key values of the Cancer Hope Network have never changed over the course of time because people are still getting cancer. It's still one of the most devastating diagnoses to receive. And people still need to know that you can survive it. They still need hope. And the best people to give that are people who have been through it, who have experienced the same things that they have, the same treatments, and the same emotions.
Volunteering for the Cancer Hope Network has changed my life because I like to feel needed, and I know I needed people during my whole process. And I know there's people out there that need me. And it's a reciprocating feeling, and it feels very good to be a part of it.
Sometimes it's uncomfortable to remember the treatments, but the fact of the matter is, when it's finished, I know that I've done something to make somebody's road a little bit easier to travel.
That call, why am I in this world? Why did I have cancer? Well, maybe one of the reasons was to help others to go through. So Cancer Hope Network helped me to help others, and that is an experience that I'm very grateful for.
I realized that there is life out here after cancer, and although I didn't back then realize that there could be a beautiful life again, there is a beautiful life, and I have a husband, and I have dogs, and I even have two very beautiful children. And if you had asked me 14 years ago when I was diagnosed if I saw this in my future, I'm not so sure that I did. But then as the days went on and as I spoke to Edna more, and I could see that this was a possibility, and now I know it is, and I'm living it.